We have 20 of the best bodybuilders in the world right here on this stage tonight. Here we go, your first competitor from the USA, the Texas Titan, Branch Warren.
All right, as we pick up the live stream here, it is Dave Fair and Larry Pepe. The men's competition is getting underway. And Larry, as you mentioned earlier in the pre-show, we are going to learn a lot about the way that things are going to shape up for tomorrow night right here in these moments.
We will, and I think what's going to be interesting as well, Dave, is that as we see each individual guy come out, we're going to get a sense of what their improvements were since we saw them last, whether they nailed their condition. But where we're really going to get a sense of one guy's condition.
You see him playing with the crowd there. How much of an effect do you think that the crowd actually has on what the judges are seeing and deciding tonight?
Right now, none.
None.
None. I mean, you know, especially at the prejudging.
Big Mac Cedric McMillan.
What I was saying, Dave, is especially at the prejudging at this stage, the judges are dialed in. They are looking at these guys for their condition only. And where you're really going to see more of a crowd response is tomorrow night,
right,
when they pose to their particular choreography. Right now, this is just background music. These guys have not choreographed. They're just going through the mandatory poses for the judges.
Thank you, Big Mac Cedric McMillan. Ruly Winkler.
Number 3 out of 20. Ruly is walking up to the stage right now. Expectations for him coming in?
I think the expectations for him are probably out of the top 10, although he looks very good here. You can see this might be the best I've seen him in a while. His conditioning looks to be much better, and he has tremendous, tremendous arm development, Dave. But the issue with Ruly in the past has sometimes been a question of conditioning. Which we'll have to see if that proves to be an advantage or a disadvantage.
Oh, that's definitely an advantage. Who doesn't like 50
Floyd Mayweather, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Lionel Bayeki. Competitor 6 from the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Dominator, Victor Martinez.
Yeah, you hear that pop from the crowd. Very excited to see how Victor Martinez looks here. A lot of people are big fans of Victor. What are you expecting from him this year?
Well, here's what's interesting. I just spoke to Victor a couple of minutes ago, and he told me that when he competed in New York, that he'd only been training for 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Because he broke the humerus bone in his arm, and by the time that healed, he only had here, got beautiful muscle bellies, good roundness, tough competitor at any contest.
Competitor 7 from Germany, Dennis Big Bad Wolf.
Dennis also getting a nice pop there from the crowd.
Yeah, Dennis has a big fan base. 2012 Prague Pro champion. He was also second at Arnold Classic Europe. Last year he was 6th at this event, Dave, but was within a hair of being 5th, and which would mean that he wouldn't have to compete at all during the rest of the year and would be automatically requalified. One of the things with Dennis is that he's had a hard time finding that blend of holding on to his size and getting shredded. It's usually one or the other. I know he told me back here just a little earlier that you start to see some distension in the midsection, you start to see some protrusion, and it throws off. This is the shot that Dennis is famous for, the most muscular. But you start to see that throws off the symmetry of the physique. I think Dennis looks great at this event.
Competitor 8 from the USA, the X-Man, Tony Freeman.
Tony Freeman making his way to the stage right now, number 8 out of 20. What do you think we're going to see from Tony Freeman in this competition?
Well, the first thing we have to do is point out that Tony Freeman is 47 years old, so he should get a trophy just for being here at that age. The first thing that goes is the leg development seems to regress before the upper body development, and this might be the year where that happened with Tony.
Tony Freeman. Competitor 9 from the USA, making his Olympia debut, the King Snake, Steve Kuklo.
Steve Kuklo on his way out right now, number 9 out of 20. How did Steve get into the competition this year?
He actually won the 2013 Dallas Europa Pro Championships, Dave. He beat Essa Obiad and Lionel Bayecki, where they walk away from it and say, you know, when I stood with the big boys, here's what I needed to fix.
Competitor 10 from Kuwait, Mamdoa Big Ramy El Fayed.
People are very excited about seeing Big Ramy. And here he is. He is a rookie to Mr. Olympia, but high hopes are pinned on him.
Yeah, no doubt. This will be one of the more anticipated posing routines early because everybody's been wanting to see him. I think the more important thing is to see him standing next to everybody.
Is he as impressive in these first moments as you expected him to be?
You know, I'm going to reserve judgment for this reason. I think until you see him standing next to someone, like, it's hard to evaluate him. When he hit that most muscular, he did not look as defined through the torso as he did from the back.
One of the world's strongest bodybuilders, Johnny Jackson.
In the second half here, this is competitor number 11 out of 20 as Johnny Jackson makes his way onto the stage. How did he qualify?
He was actually second in our points competition. He was 9th at this event last year, and this, Dave, is his 10th Olympia in the last 11 years. Looks very thick and hard in the upper body. The issue with Johnny is always the legs. You see a significant difference.
Thank you, J.O.J. Johnny Jackson. Competitor 12 from the USA, the prodigy Brandon Curry.
Brandon Curry is competitor number 12 here at Mr. Olympia. This is the 49th annual competition. This live web stream is brought to you by bodybuilding.com. It's Dave Fair alongside Larry Pepe. And how did Brandon end up on this stage tonight, Larry?
Brandon was our 2013 Arnold Classic Brazil winner. First time we had that contest. And Brandon, a guy who has great arm development, great shape.
Thank you, Brandon Curry. Competitor 13 from Iran, Baitola Eberspor.
Baitola is coming in at number 13 out of 20.
And Baitola won the Nordic Pro Championships, which were held in Finland. He actually beat Lionel Bayecki, who came out earlier. And the interesting thing about Baitola is that he said at the press conference that he competes in the open, but in this lineup, giving up that kind of size, it's a real uphill battle.
Competitor 14 from the USA, former Olympia champion, Dexter "The Blade" Jackson.
Dexter Jackson is competitor number 14 out of 20. He is 43 years old, and Larry, as you mentioned earlier on the pre-show, the most decorated bodybuilder in the world today. Amazing conditioning is what he's known for. Is that what you're seeing here in these opening moments?
Yeah, we'll see when he starts hitting some of these poses. Dexter, everybody's waiting for Dexter to go backwards, and he just hasn't done it. If anything, he's been getting better, winning the Masters Mr. Olympia. He won the Arnold Classic this year. It's happening a little bit with Dexter Jackson. He looks to be in great shape.
So impressive at 43 years old.
Incredible.
Number 15 from Poland, Robert Pietrzakowicz.
As he mentioned there, he is competitor number 15. How did Robert get into the competition?
Robert's the 2013 European Pro winner. What's amazing, Dave, is that 6 weeks ago, he tore his elbow, or his tricep, and I don't even know how he's here competing, but yet he is. He said in Poland, but Robert's in very good condition.
Thank you, Robert Pietrzakowicz. Competitor 16 from the USA, Lexitron Sean Roden.
High hopes for Sean Roden tonight. He is competitor number 16. Larry, do you think that he has got what it takes just based on pre-gaming it before we watch him pose down?
Well, listen, he was third last year, so once you get into top 3 territory, nobody should ever count you out again. And Sean, I talked to Ronnie Coleman earlier and said Sean had a great offseason. They expect him to be much bigger than he was last year, and I think he looks great. Often comparisons to Flex Wheeler, an icon, and in many people's eyes, the best uncrowned Mr. Olympia, a guy who never won the Olympia, and very, very good genetic shape.
Thank you, Lexitron Sean. Competitor 17 from the United Arab Emirates, Issa Obia.
Getting down to our final competitors. Issa is number 17 out of 20. What can we expect from him tonight, Larry?
Well, Issa made it to this contest through our point system. He tied for 5th. He was 14th at the 2012 Olympia. And I think the big difference with Obiad this year versus last year, and even in some of the earlier shows, is that he seems to be getting a better handle on his conditioning. He was not quite as lean last year.
Thank you, Issa Obia. Competitor 18 from the USA, 4-time Mr. Olympia, Jay Cutler.
This is a big moment. Jay Cutler walking back out onto the Mr. Olympia stage after being absent for a couple of years, and you hear the crowd react. First impression?
First impression is that Jay is in very, very good condition. The bicep, of course, was where he had the tear that's been fixed, and when he hit the pose, it looked good when it was up. Does not look quite as blocky as it has looked in the past, and his abdominals, you could see when he hit that most muscular, definitely coming out. It's going to be interesting.
Competitor 19 from the USA. Here comes the Predator, Kai Greene.
Kai Greene, certainly a crowd favorite. He's got a fantastic story about how he's battled through all sorts of adversity in his life to get to this point. Very Mr. Olympia already. Got runner-up last year. Got one more to see, and that is our defending champ.
And your final competitor from the USA, your 2-time and reigning Mr. Olympia, the Gift, Phil Heath.
Phil Heath looking for his third Mr. Olympia this weekend here in Las Vegas. Fired up as he walks to the stage. Your defending champ. Let's take a look.
His midsection doesn't look quite as defined as we've seen it in the past when he hit his ab shot, but his waist very, very small from the side. His hamstrings and the tie-in look great. The fullness around his arms and shoulders and chest are outstanding, and that's going to be very tough for most guys to stand next to. We'll have to see when they stand them next to each other, which will be coming soon.
The plot has thickened. Who will it be? Some serious contenders in the mix right now here at Mr. Olympia 2013 in Las Vegas.
Please welcome Mr. Steve Weinberger.
Thank you, Bob. Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right.
If anything really jumps out at you, please let me know.
Well, one thing fans at home should know is that while we call this the relaxed quarter turns, but of course these guys are never relaxed. They're always tensing, flexing, and trying to show everything that they can. Lionel Bayecki, furthest to the left of your screen, looks very, very good in this lineup. Ruli Winkler looks good. And Branch Warren looks tighter than we saw him when he first came out. But I don't know that he has the same level of fullness that we've come accustomed to him coming in with. But he's definitely in shape and his waist looks down. But I think the two that jump out to me here are Lionel Bayecki and Ruli Winkler.
Front double bicep.
So all the way to the left and in the center of your screen.
Correct. And now what we'll see is those mandatory poses that the guy... much leaner, looks much better than he did last year, where his conditioning was definitely off.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. You may exit stage left, please.
Quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right.
Who's standing out to you here?
Well, we have Big Ramey furthest to the left. We're getting a chance to see him in some comparisons. Dennis Wolf, I think, looks very good. Tony Freeman looks a little faded in this group. Kuklo, I think, looks a little bit, down in this group as well. You can tell not as defined through the midsection and so on. So I think the guys that stand out to me here are Ramey, Wolf, and Victor Martinez. Separation and quality come into his legs. His upper body is really not the issue, in my opinion. He's ready to compete at the upper levels in his upper body. His legs are enormous. I would just like to see a little more detail and separation. And sometimes, Dave, that just comes with time. This is a guy who just turned 29 in the last couple of weeks. And as he matures, he's going to be hell to deal with. He's going to be hard for a lot of people to deal with tonight as well.
Thank you, gentlemen. You may exit
Big Ramey, the one
stage
we're
left,
speaking
please.
of, is all the way to the left of your screen.
Now, in this lineup, here's a perfect example. Johnny Jackson and Brandon Curry, two athletes furthest to your left standing next to one another. They both looked good individually. They both have similar flaws with needing more leg development. But side by side, I think Johnny is, for me, pretty soundly beating Brandon. And it makes the point that you've got to see guys next to one another to really evaluate them. Dexter Jackson, obviously the standout in this group. Right there, number 14 in the red trunks, and not much of a challenge in this group for Dexter.
Will be very interesting to see this final heat too. Three of the most talked about individuals in the competition, with Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, and Kai Greene all standing next to each other.
Light blue turquoise
Your
trunk.
favorite, most muscular. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, gentlemen. Exit stage right, please.
Quarter turn to the right. Quarter turn to the right.
What's jumping out at you?
What's jumping out at me is you see Kai's width
Quarter turn to the
overtaking
right.
Phil's width, but you see more detail in Phil's back through the center, and there are more mounds to his back, if you will. Sean
face
Roden on the left really jumps out at me as well. I think he nailed his condition.
Front
He's
double
much
bicep.
bigger and fuller than he was last year. And Jay's conditioning looks very good. If in this group, I think
Front lat spread.
we'll see more poses, but my initial impression is Heath, Roden and Kai very
Side
close,
chest.
and then Jay.
So you're saying Phil first?
But Kai looks to me to be improving as this prejudging is
Back
going
lat
on. When he
spread.
first came out, as I mentioned, I believe, but did not do it at the expense of conditioning. We see a lot of guys who will get bigger, but they lose their hardness and their definition, and I don't think Roden lost anything.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And that may also be a function of time.
All right, gentlemen.
Sure.
My side,
Between the
please,
injury,
stage left.
not like, well, Jay has been great. I thought Ramey would be in the first call out, but Wolf is in it. I expect Ramey to be in the next one. But this is where we see the judges' initial leaning to the top 6.
Phil, step between Dexter and Sean, please.
No big surprise that they want to see the defending
Kai, step
champion
between Phil and
in the
Sean.
center of the stage, and Kai Greene in the center of the stage next to Phil Heath. We can read into that, not that it's definitive, that the judges are looking at Roden, Kai, and Phil
Gentlemen, spread out.
as perhaps your top 3 that they
Right.
want to.
Relax. Dexter and Dennis switch, please.
Now, if you're a Dexter Jackson fan, you don't
Front
like
lat
that.
Spread. Back double bicep.
And you see here,
Back lat spread.
no doubt, in this
Side
comparison
tricep.
alone, you have 3 current or former Olympias, Phil Heath, Dexter Jackson, and Jay Cutler, who have combined for 7 Olympia titles.
Nominal in thighs.
Props to Dennis Wolf, because out of this group, he's probably the one who was the least talked about as being in the top 6. This doesn't mean he is, but it's certainly a good sign for him and a good indication.
Your favorite, most muscular.
Joe,
Dennis back in line, please.
Kai, Phil, and Dennis back in
Wow.
line. 2 of them than we did last year.
Are you surprised that Sean Roden is not in the top 3?
A little bit. I would have liked to
Gentlemen,
have
front
seen
double
Roden
bicep.
moved next to Dennis Wolf, but
Yep.
we may see that later in the prejudging.
Okay.
But I would expect that in this group, Roden is the leader,
Front lat
and I
spread.
wouldn't be surprised if we got a comparison.
Interesting to see how the judges are lining it up as of right now with these 2.
And we had also mentioned that Ruli Winkler, when they came out individually and started to do the comparisons, really looked to be in his best shape. The judges obviously agreed. We also pointed out Lionel Bayecki. He's up here with some of the top guys. So far, a lot of it is playing out the way that we had envisioned when we started to see them get compared.
Right.
And these are fantastic outings for Ruli Winkler and Lionel Bayecki.
Yes.
See coming in, kind of like the old guard mass monster versus the new guard mass monster.
What do you think there?
Relax, face the curtain, hit a back double bicep.
I think in that shot, off,
Right.
that it compensates for it.
Side tricep.
So it's a question of whether judges want to lean more towards just conditioning or offset some of that conditioning with a lot more size and muscularity. And in that case, you see them side by side here, and I just think Ramey's overpowering him a bit.
Does Jay get any...
Some people will argue yes, some people will argue no. I mean, you know, when you know that somebody's a Mr. Olympia, when you know they're a 4-time champion, they're a 3-time Arnold Classic champion, they're one of the most decorated bodybuilders in history, I think subconsciously it's easy to give that guy a bit of a benefit of the doubt, if you will.
Sure.
Evan, that was Jay's first title defense of the Olympia. I was one of those people that thought Victor won that show. There was a year that Jay looked fantastic when he competed against Ronnie Coleman, but Ronnie won. You know, so I think there is sometimes just to get back to himself, and Cedric needs to be tighter. You see his proportions, the muscle bellies, the roundness are all there, but needs to be tighter. What'll be interesting now is, do they want to see all three of them? Do they just want to see Kai and Phil? Do they want to see Phil and Dennis? And maybe they have Kai in third. Then he's got to be first or fifth, and he ain't fifth.
Yeah.
So this would be a great sign for Phil Heath fans.
Side chest.
Hard to focus when you're a competitor in this moment, when you're up here posing down and all of the thoughts that are coming out of your mouth are running through their heads too?
It can be, but a lot of it has to do more with your dehydration. How do you physically feel? How much have you practiced your posing so that you can do this over and over? It's exhausting to go through this. And if you haven't done it, it's not as easy as it looks. That much every bodybuilder who's ever competed can attest to. Now, where it gets interesting here, Dave, is Wolf, obviously very defined, very big from the back, legs down a little bit compared to Kai and Roden. Dexter looks great from the back. This is a tough, tough comparison to judge. You see Kai's width overpowering Wolf, which is ironic because Wolf is very, very wide. But I thought Wolf's rear double bicep showed more detail and more thickness in the upper back. And Roden just continues to impress me. I think he looks great. I think he's really done a great job on his physique this year. And how can you not be impressed by Dexter Jackson? And Roden and Jackson were 3rd and 4th last year.
Your favorite, most muscular.
The other thing to keep in mind at home is that this is not necessarily the judges' consensus call-out.
This concludes round 1. Bob, back to you.
Very
all
close.
Right, thank you, Steve. How about a big hand, folks, for all 20 of our Olympians on stage tonight. One of them will be crowned 2013 Mr. Olympia.
Welcoming you into the webcast, it is Dave Farah and Larry Pepe as we watch our first competitor of 20 tonight, the finals of Mr. Olympia 2013, Branch Warren.
And Dave, we saw in the comparisons last night that, unfortunately...
Hey, Larry, give us a bit of a recap, if you would, of what we saw from Cedric last night. How did you think that he looked in the initial comparisons, and how do you think he did in the prejudging?
Don't think he did great in the prejudging. One of the things with Cedric, you can see, you know, beautiful muscle shape, good roundness, small muscle bellies, but the issue with Cedric is always conditioning. He competed a couple of times this year, was in good shape when he won his pro show to qualify, but we just haven't seen him nail it yet. And when he does, he's going to be dangerous because you look at the flow to his physique, the roundness of the muscle bellies, and it's very impressive. Just conditioning is the one thing that holds him back. And I think at this level, especially with the conditioning some of the guys brought to this contest, it's not going to be. Maybe he'll be towards the tail end.
Ruley Winkler.
As Ruley takes the stage here, if you're just tuning into the broadcast, it's Dave Fair and Larry Pepe along with you this evening. You're noticing that all of the athletes that are coming out on stage are doing a tribute to Joe Weider. It is the 49th annual Mr. Olympia, and this is the first competition since Joe passed away. So all of the athletes doing something special, saying a piece about him before they take the stage here for the finals. Larry, for people that are watching maybe the first stream that they've ever seen of bodybuilding.com as their Mr. Olympia finalists are here on stage, what is this portion of the competition that we're watching? What a treat to be able to hear all of the different actions that these top interactions that these top 20 guys have had with Joe Weider over the years.
Yeah,
fascinating.
It is, and I think, you know, the crazy thing is when you create an industry from which thousands of people make livings.
Right.
I think that's something that you leave as that legacy. And Victor Martinez, when he said the greatest thing that's ever happened in his career, that's saying something, because this is a guy who has had a great career. A 2007 Arnold Classic champion. In 2007, he was second at the Mr. Olympia. Many people had him winning that Olympia. And this is his 8th Mr. Olympia. So, Victor, a long storied career.
Big Wolf.
Dennis
did. I mean, and it was evident as soon as he came out. Dennis is one of the guys that tonight is really going to matter for him. He could be in a battle for second place, which would be the highest he's ever been at the Olympia. Before that, in 2008, he was 4th. So how he handled these last 24 hours could have a significant impact on his wallet and his placing.
heard a really big pop from the crowd when he walked out, too. Dennis Walbert, really popular guy here at the competition.
Extremely popular.
Jay Cutler.
We'll see how he performs in the 2013 Mr. Olympia, but you have to give him respect for what he's accomplished in this sport. 4-time Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, just a tremendous bodybuilder. 4-time Mr. Olympia, 3-time Arnold Classic champion. And Joe was right. Jay did become the best in the world. So definitely some prophetic quality to Joe's statement way back then. We saw Jay last night. The big question was 2 years away. What version of Jay would we get? And his conditioning was good. It started to fade a bit as the prejudging went on. That definitely hurt him. But I think the bigger issue is that he has not regained the fullness and the muscularity that we've seen of him.
Kai Greene.
People thought if there was going to be one real threat to Phil Heath leading into this competition, it would be this gentleman. And as you see, he is massive, he is shredded, and he is looking good tonight. Will it be enough? Many experts are saying no, but certainly a top contender still.
Phil Heath.
He looked tremendous last night. I thought our stream froze for a second. I was freaking out. Turns out Phil was just taking his time. We're good. We're good. All right, early assessment here, 24 hours. And what do you think, Larry?
I think he's right where he was, Dave. I think this is probably the best version of Phil that we've seen. There is a roundness and a fullness to his muscle bellies that you just don't see very often. And I don't mean at this contest. I mean very often, period. He literally has a three-dimensional effect.
Whiteburger.
Thank you, Bob. Gentlemen, spread out in front double bicep. Front lat spread. Side chest.
Dave, it's entirely conceivable that the judges put Kai, Roden, and Wolf on one side because possibly they're considering them for second, third, and fourth, and Dexter and Jay next to each other because perhaps they're considering them for fifth and sixth. I will say Jay is comparing much more favorably this evening with Dexter than he was last night.
Agreed.
So not inconceivable that we could see Jay Cutler leap into that fifth place spot.
Relax. Spread out.
One thing I
Hit a
do
lat
not think
spread.
will change
Spread
is
out,
Phil
gentlemen.
Heath winning the contest. He's still running away with the contest.
Yeah.
Side tricep.
These are the best of the best, folks. One of the judges' top six.
Abdominal and thighs.
Jay playing a bit to the crowd there.
Your favorite, most muscular?
Based on what I see to the right of the screen, Dave, I now favor Kai Greene to take that second place spot. I think he has pulled ahead of Roden and Wolf. And I also think that Jay Cutler and Dexter Jackson are now in a dogfight that they weren't in last night. So credit
Relax.
to Jay for improving his conditioning and holding it from where we saw him last night
Back in
when
line,
he had
gentlemen.
faded. I think close to how we talked about it on the pre-show.
Right.
Front
Right?
double
I think
bicep, gentlemen.
Phil, Kai, Dennis. I believe they are top three now.
With
And
the possibility of Sean being in there. as
correct.
well, yeah.
And I think now we're looking at 4, 5, 6.
Front lat spread.
When I look at this, I still think Roden wins this comparison. What is intriguing is how much tighter it's gotten between Jay and Dexter. Because last night, I don't think it was very close between them at all. And this is what we talked
Side
about, that
check.
24 hours can just make an astonishing difference
Right.
in the way that a physique looks with water manipulation, nerves, filling the body back out, carving up some more if the muscles are flat. It's just amazing what can
Back
happen in
double
24
bicep.
hours. But I think Roden pretty clearly winning this comparison for me. And, of course, this is all subjective. The judges could be looking at it differently. People at home could be looking at it differently. But on my scorecard, Roden now in fourth, Wolf third, Greene second, Heath first. And I think the real battle all of a sudden is Jay Cutler versus Dexter Jackson. I think right there Jay looks
Back
better,
lat
and
spread.
last night Dexter looked better. So we could have a very tight contest between them on the scorecards where you could see it be a match. So now we're determining 7, 8,
Gentlemen,
9,
take 1
10.
step to your right.
And to
Front
see
double
Ramey and
bicep.
Rulli, because we thought they would be battling for that 6th spot with Jay, but Jay came back tighter. And Bayeki, we talked about being the best he's ever been. We had talked about him potentially being middle of the pack at the show as well.
Side chest, back double bicep.
And Victor, another guy, I think, like Jay, who came back able to manipulate these 24 hours better than the rookies like Ramey.
Relax. And moving together.
So that's 7,
Join
8,
this
and
line.
9 we would anticipate.
Cedric, Evan, and Steve. Gentlemen, front double bicep. Back lat spread.
So the winner of this comparison, Dave, is likely to land in 10th place.
Side
so they
tricep.
would have I would say Victor and
Dominant
Lionel
thighs.
Bayeki.
Who are the two gentlemen on your screen
Correct.
right this moment?
Side by side. Catch my attention.
Thank you,
Or
gentlemen. Back
the
in
first
line.
two that were out.
Tony. Relax.
And the competitor that definitely jumps out to me in this comparison is
Side
Johnny
chest.
Depp.
Back double bicep.
First Olympia.
I can't get over it.
You didn't bring him those trunks, did you? The
No,
first time you've been here.
I did not bring those trunks for him. He stole them right out of my
Back
bag.
lat spread. Side tricep. Thank you, gentlemen. Back in line.
That Phil's got number 1, and they want to see how he stacks up to both of them.
Front double bicep.
To be perfectly honest, I'm a little surprised Phil's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they put him back in line last night where he, it was an indication that they had him as a clear winner. And I think the real battle here is who's getting that
Front
runner-up
left
spot,
right.
Kai Greene or Dennis Wolf, in which case seeing them side by side would be of more value to a judge.
Do you think there's a possibility that the judges aren't seeing this as a runaway for Phil Heath as we predicted?
I don't.
You still think Phil's got this one in the bag?
I do.
Okay.
If people at home think, oh, wait, that was only 10 minutes ago, how could that have changed? Yeah, it can change
They
because
say Olympians
you're
are
standing
one from
there,
the back. Who's winning
you're
this one?
not pumping up anymore. If you got really dried out and your levels and depletion.
It gives me a headache just thinking about all the precision that goes into this. The fact that 10 minutes can jack up your entire game is just
It's
mind-numbing.
God only knows.
Yeah.
With a microphone.
Abdominal and thighs.
And Dennis Wolf and Kai Greene, this is announced. There will be a negative eruption
A lot of
in
boos.
this arena, yes.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Back in line. And this concludes this round.
We're going to send it back down to our head judging table. And Big Steve, hopefully his voice has gotten deeper.
Thank you, Bob. Gentlemen, quarter turn to the right.
And Larry, this is the final moment where the judges are making that decision who will become Mr. Olympia 2013.
Absolutely.
To the right.
Any surprises for you in the top 10? I know that you said that a couple of these guys could have been somewhere in that 14 to 20 range, but Branch Warren's name jumped out to me as one that made it into the top 10 that we didn't originally think would.
Yeah, I think there's no one in the 14 to 20 that's up here, but Branch is probably the one. Branch and Victor.
The amount of money for Mr. Olympia, $675,000 up for grabs here.
And $250,000 to the winner.
Rami and Sean change places.
The way that he does with that little training.
Yeah. There's the Sean Roden there in the purple trunks. Also highly touted coming into this competition, but there's Kai.
When you look at Dexter Jackson next to Sean Roden, he's comparing very favorably. And, you know, an hour ago, it looked like Roden was comparing more favorably with Dexter. And this is just how quickly bodies can change.
And there you see Dennis Wolf next to Phil Heath. And Dennis has surprised a lot of people in this competition. Grabs tonight. You can vote for that on bodybuilding.com, who, of course, is presenting this stream. These are the final moments of Mr. Olympia 2013. It's the biggest show of the year. The Orleans Arena here in Las Vegas, completely sold out. I believe it's the first time that the entire arena has ever been sold out, but what an accomplishment. Yeah, you see the guys getting the crowd fired up. Kai getting in the face of Phil a little bit. The judge screamed back lat spread. I don't know if he was actually angry.
Hit it.
I'm enjoying the jawing. The crowd seems to be getting into it. Listen to it.
Side tricep.
The judge has to scream because it's so loud around him. Crowd enjoying the jawing. I know I am too. This is fun.
This is not for fun for these two.
Well, and especially when there's this much money riding on it, too. As you just said, $250,000 goes to the winner.
Your favorite, most muscular.
Look at Kai.
Phil Heath just said, now it's over, when they called for the most muscular.
And he just said, boom.
I've never seen two guys jaw this much during a pose down. I never have. And thankfully it's during the pose down.
You think so?
I have a feeling.
Gentlemen, when you hear the music, pose down.
There goes Kai. He's stalking him. He's stalking him. As you said, most of the judges' decisions at this point have been made. Dennis right over there, right next to Phil as well. Kai taking a moment by himself. Let's see how that holds up.
And Phil Heath is really, you know, we talked a lot about guys fading, coming forward, looking flat. Phil's looked pretty consistent the whole time through.
Did you catch that? Kai actually just pushed Phil Heath a little bit.
Want to see the Olympians up close and personal.
They're going out into the crowd. Oh, man. Again, sold out completely, wall to wall here at the Orleans Arena. These guys have been playing to the crowd the entire weekend, and the amount of passion that you're feeling from the fans, rumbling this arena right now. The fact they're heading out into the crowd, standing on chairs, shows the level of respect that they have for the fans and the love they've been giving to them all weekend long. Guys got to be careful standing on those chairs. They flip weird. See him next to just normal people. Yeah, it's really something else.
It is.
Oh, this is cool, man. Why is Randy being left out? Get in there, man. Yeah, there you go. Kai's bringing him in. And here you're seeing that camaraderie.
At this point, they know the battle's over.
Yeah.
They know the scores are in at the judges' table, and nothing they do right now is going to make a difference.
All right, let's get our last two Olympians. will take the 10th place award, the check, for $15,000 to our 10th place finisher, Lionel Bayecki. Please take the check for $17,000 to our 9th place finisher, Branch Warren.
Congratulations to Branch.
Actually had Branch and Lionel reversed, but I'm sure that the scores were close between them.
Crowd had
Please
fun.
take the check for $18,000 to our 8th place finisher, Big Rami Mamdoa Elsbaye. Please take the check for $20,000 to our 7th place finisher, Ruli Winkler.
Congratulations to Ruli. Very nice showing. Number 7 here, Mr. Olympia 2013.
Best Ruli's ever looked, and a great finish for him.
Contender for check for $30,000 to our 6th place finisher, Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler just outside of that top 5. That's pretty in line with what you predicted early on, Larry, but as you mentioned, you had a chance to talk to him backstage. If you only put in 10 weeks.
Please take the check for $40,000 to our 5th place finisher, the Blade, Dexter Jackson.
Right in line with what you predicted there, Larry, as well. Dexter Jackson, top 5 finish at 43 years old. How impressed are you?
Very, because not just the fact that...
Please take the check for $50,000 to our 4th place finisher, Sean Roden.
Top 4 finish for Sean Roden. He is $50,000 richer. It's been a year in the making. You can tell he worked extremely hard. Did the judges get that one right, Larry?
I think they did, and we should point out as well that with Dexter 5th and Roden 4th, both of them automatically requalify for next year's Mr. Olympia,
yes, sir,
as of course do our next 3 competitors. But I thought Sean looked great. I thought he had an improved physique up there. I think he looked a little tighter last night, but again, I bet when we look at this score...
Please take the 3rd place award, the check for $80,000, the Olympia bronze medal, to our 3rd place finisher, Dennis Big Bad Wolf.
Wow. Dennis Wolf coming in at number 3. Larry, the one thing that you mentioned in this competition is that Dennis Wolf really surprised you with the way that he showed up. He looked fantastic yesterday. He looked fantastic today as well. And to be top 3, when a lot of people didn't consider him to even be in the top 5 before the competition began, just a testament to how hard he worked.
Yeah, and also that he timed it. I know Dennis pretty well, trains at the same gym I do, and one of his quandaries has always been losing too much, thinning out too much to try to get lean enough. And this time he put
$250,000 to the winner.
And Kai Greene in the center spot, please.
What a moment. Mr. Olympia 2013.
Please take folks, in Olympia tradition, the next name you hear will be your 2013 Mr. Olympia. 3-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath.
Congratulations to Phil Heath, Mr. Olympia 2013, and once again, Kai Greene falling just short, but a very respectable 2nd place in a stacked field tonight here at Mr. Olympia 2013.
No doubt. And listen, I think a well-deserved 3rd Mr. Olympia for Phil Heath. I think when we see the scorecards, We'll see Phil with pretty much straight ones, if not a unanimous victory. And then we'll see the bunch-up of 2, 3, and 4, especially between Dennis and Kai.
And a huge roar from the crowd there here at the sold-out Orleans Arena. Kai Greene, certainly a crowd favorite, and coming in at second place. Congratulations to him. Don't forget our post-show immediately starting after we wrap up here on and the Women's Figure Award winner as well.
Thank you, Jim Mannion. Gentlemen, in order, please.
Early sponsors, and they have a very warm, while competitive relationship.
Most muscular.
What a tremendous year. Mr. Olympia 2013, just an excellent show all around, and there you're seeing the best in the world.
Your top 6 Olympians for 2013. I'm here with the champ. Phil, as you can tell, 10,000 people are still here and standing. I know it wasn't easy. Give it up for the champ and his wife. All right, champ, the stage is yours. A couple of poses.